You are not thinking, you are being led. What if the biggest problem in your life isn't your circumstances, but the way you think about them? Not in the motivational sense, not in the just be positive way, but in a much deeper, more uncomfortable truth. Most people don't control their thinking. They are carried by it. You wake up, and before you even realize it, your mind is already moving. It jumps to something you need to do, then to something you forgot, then to something that could go wrong, then to something that already did. Within minutes, you are no longer present. You are somewhere else entirely, in a memory, in a fear, in a possibility that doesn't even exist. And you call that thinking, but it isn't. It's reaction. The mind, if left untrained, does not move toward clarity. It moves toward noise. It pulls you into loops, into imagined scenarios, into emotional states that feel real, but are built on nothing more than suggestion and repetition. And the most dangerous part is this: you rarely question it. You assume that because a thought appears, it must be valid. Because it feels intense, it must be important. Because it repeats, it must be true. But none of that is guaranteed. This is the nature of thought. Your mind is not designed to keep you peaceful. It is designed to keep you alert, to scan for danger, to anticipate problems, to remember pain so you don't repeat it. This is useful, but it becomes destructive when it runs without direction. Because the same system that protects you from real threats will also create imaginary ones, and it does not always know the difference. This is why you can feel anxious about something that hasn't happened, why you can feel anger toward a conversation that isn't taking place, why you can relive a moment from years ago as if it is happening again. Your mind is powerful, but power without control becomes chaos. The problem is where most people lose control. People think losing control of their mind looks dramatic. They imagine breakdowns, panic attacks, visible struggles. But most of the time, it looks ordinary. It looks like overthinking. It looks like replaying conversations. It looks like worrying about the future. It looks like assuming the worst without realizing it. It looks like a normal day. But inside that normal day, something is happening. You are being pulled away from clarity, pulled away from action, pulled away from reality. And the more this happens, the less you realize you have a choice. The first principle is, not every thought deserves your attention. This is the foundation. Not every thought deserves to be followed. Not every thought deserves to be solved. Not every thought even deserves to be finished. But most people treat every thought as if it's urgent. They engage with it. They analyze it. They expand it. And by doing that, they give it power. Think of your mind like a doorway. Thoughts pass through it constantly, but you decide which ones are allowed to stay. Most people leave the door open. Everything enters, and then they wonder why it feels crowded. The 4 patterns that control most minds. Once you begin to observe your thinking, you will notice patterns, not random thoughts, patterns. And most people are caught in the same ones. 1. The spiral of what if. It always begins the same way. What if this goes wrong? At first, it seems like a reasonable question, but your mind doesn't stop there. It continues. What if that leads to something worse? What if I can't handle it? What if everything falls apart? Each thought builds on the last. And before you realize it, you are no longer thinking. You are spiraling. The problem is not the first thought. The problem is what happens after you engage with it. Because the moment you treat that thought as something that must be answered, you enter a chain reaction. And that chain has no natural end. The solution is not to solve the spiral. It is to recognize it early and step out. 2. Conversations that never happened. This one feels harmless, almost productive. You replay a conversation. You think about what you should have said, what they might say next, how you'll respond. It feels like preparation, but it isn't, because the other person is not there. You are creating both sides of the conversation. You are reacting to something you invented, and emotionally, your body does not know the difference. You feel tension, you feel frustration, you feel anger, all for something that isn't real. This pattern drains more energy than most people realize, because it keeps you stuck in a loop that never resolves. There is no closure, only repetition. 3. The false conclusion. This is the most subtle and the most dangerous, because it begins with truth. Your mind shows you evidence. You've been disappointed before. People have let you down. That situation hurt. All of that may be true, but then your mind draws a conclusion. This is how it always is. This is how it will always be. This is what you should expect. That is where truth ends and distortion begins. The problem is not the facts. The problem is the story built from them. Because once you accept that story, you start to see everything through it. You expect disappointment. You anticipate failure. You prepare for loss. And slowly, you create the very reality you fear. 4. The escape from the present. Your mind rarely wants to stay where you are. It prefers two places, the past and the future. In the past, it replays pain. It reminds you of what happened, what was said, what was lost. And each time, it pulls you back into that emotional state. In the future, it creates uncertainty. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? And it builds scenarios you cannot control. Both of these remove you from the only place where you have power. Now, the second principle: you are not your thoughts. This idea is simple, but it changes everything. You are not the thoughts that appear in your mind. You are the one who notices them, and more importantly, the one who chooses whether to follow them. This creates distance, and that distance is where control begins. Because once you see a thought as something separate from you, you stop identifying with it. You stop saying, "I am anxious," and start noticing, there is anxiety present. That shift is small, but it is powerful, because it turns you from a participant into an observer. And from that position, you can choose. Building control, a practical system. Understanding is not enough. Control comes from practice, from repetition, from building habits that reshape how you think. 1. Interrupt the pattern. The moment you notice a thought pulling you into a loop, pause. Do not continue the sentence in your head. Do not try to resolve it. Just stop. This is uncomfortable at first, because your mind wants closure. It wants to finish the story, but you are not required to give it that. 2. Ask one question. Bring yourself back with a simple check. What is real right now? Not what might happen, not what already happened. Right now. This grounds you. It shifts your focus from imagination to reality, from uncertainty to presence. 3. Redirect your attention. Your mind needs direction. If you remove one thought without replacing it, another will take its place. So you choose where to focus. Your breath, your surroundings, a task in front of you. This is not avoidance, it is discipline. 4. Use your body to reset your mind. Your mind and body are connected. When one is overwhelmed, the other can stabilize it. Move, walk, lift, breathe deeply. Physical action brings you out of abstraction, back into something real. 5. Limit what you feed your mind. Your thoughts are not created in isolation. They are influenced by what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you engage with. If your input is chaotic, your thinking will be chaotic. If your input is focused, your thinking becomes clearer. This is not about perfection, it is about awareness. 6. Learn to sit with stillness. Most people avoid silence because silence reveals what is happening inside. But stillness is where clarity grows, not immediately, but over time. When you stop constantly reacting, your mind begins to settle, and in that space, you start to see more clearly. The final truth: your mind will always produce thoughts. That will never change. But your relationship with those thoughts can. You can move from reacting to observing, from being carried to choosing direction, from noise to clarity. And when that shift happens, something else changes too. Your decisions become cleaner. Your emotions become steadier. Your life becomes more intentional. Because the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your thinking. And once you take control of that, you are no longer being led. You are leading. The choice is yours.